What's going on, guys? It's Boxing and welcome back to another video. Today is going to be the first episode in building Mount Tantiss in LEGO. I'm so incredibly excited to get this build underway. I've wanted to do it for so long, but because of stuff that's out of my control and I can't stop has happened and has been going on, I can't, especially with school stuff, I can't or couldn't facilitate doing this, but I can now, which is why I'm doing it. So I'm very excited. This is going to be my biggest build ever, by quite a significant amount. It's quite a lot bigger than Naboo was, in pretty much every way, in height, in length, with another green base plate added, with a 16 by 32 base plate added to the back, so it's a bit deeper as well, same depth as Onderon. And just in general, it's bigger, it's going to be more detailed. I'm going to focus on the details while still having the scale, which I'm very excited for. And yeah, let's just get straight into this video with the time lapse. So as you saw in that time lapse, I've put the path in here. I have actually laid where the path is going to go for all of this outside section, because I want to have some like weaving paths through the forest, because I think that's a very important and useful part of a Tantiss build, that I want to include. And I think that is going to be really cool and really set the stage for how cool this build is going to be, because it's going to be pretty blinking cool. So this is the main focus of the episode doing here. But what I am just going to turn my attention to now is to explain what this is, because this is how the mountain is going to be built. Because the plan is, if I step back and zoom out, right, so the plan is mountain up to about here, right? So mountain here, it comes down there at a slope, and then this is all like terrain out the front. And I want to put loads of different scenes from the Bad Batch in. So I want to put Batch's thing over there. I might put a part of the shuttle over there, but I'm not sure that the spacing quite works. And then the mountain's going to be full of different rooms, different Easter eggs, different stuff like that, which I'm really excited to do. But if we just zoom back in, so this is the new way that I'm going to be doing this mountain. I don't have the base plates for that bit yet, but those are going to be two 48 by 48 base plates, because I've run out of the 16 by 32 ones, and they're just better for the structures or supporting this kind of structure. But this is a very strong structure, that is able to support. This is going to be doubled when complete, and then there will be another room on top. So this will end up being 7 or 8 floors tall, which is ridiculous. Not every floor of this will have a room, but a majority of them will. And these 2 floors here, or no, they won't be. Ignore that. But this middle section is going to be the biggest section, because this is going to be one big block. And that is going to be where the slope, or the bottom slope for the mountain, sits. I'm not sure what kind of gradient that's going to be or how I'm really going to do that yet. I've got a lot of ideas of how I'm going to do it, but I'm not entirely sold on one specific idea yet. But I do have some ideas of how I could do it, which I will test when we get there and get to starting that. But for now, we're not going to worry about that at all. That's not the focus for now. But this mountain is going to be about that tall, built like that, a majority. This corner is going to be slightly different, but when I get to building that, that will be shown why it's a bit different. As I have some ideas that I want to do over there that I think are going to be really cool. But yeah, let's turn our attention back out here. This is the main route of the path. So the path's going to wind down, and then this is going to be the line, I think, or it might go here, is the line of the little torches that are in the Bad Batch. I'll try and find a picture and put it on the screen now. But there's torches out the front of Tantiss that almost like guard or stop all the beasts out here from getting to where the Batcher type things are. So Batcher is a dog in Bad Batch if you haven't watched it, by the way. But yeah, so that is gonna hopefully go there. The other thing I want to run by you is what I call light dependency. So basically what I want to do in this build is I want to have the build based around light. So that doesn't just mean that I'm going to have lights in this build. What I mean is that it's going to be how the shadows fall and how everything looks is going to be dependent on the lights in the build. So this, for example, all along, I will work out how to do this at another point, but all along these paths, there's going to be different torches keeping the path alight, and these paths are going to be lit up. Everything else isn't going to be lit up, so it's going to, especially on the top here, in the thicker trees, it's going to be darker, and in this middle bit here, it's going to be quite a bit darker, and over here as well, and especially back there is going to be quite a lot darker. But that will also be a lot thicker, much thicker vegetation, and yeah, in the mountain, that's going to be much more noticeable because I will change the colour. So it will go from, say, a light grey to a dark grey and then maybe to a black at the end. And that will be faded through, which I think will look really cool. So yeah, that's the plan, but I think that for now we'll just get back to building. Just a little bit busy since the last clip. This is about a day of building that I've done. I said that I was going to do this rock wall, which is 3 sections. We've got this little end section, this bit here, which is the main section. I wanted to make it a bit like a bowl almost, so there was a bit down the middle. That will become much more pronounced in later sections of this plateau that it's going to be, as it's going to basically run round like that, roughly following the path, but not ridiculously accurately following the path, if that makes sense. But then my favourite part of this is this section, as I just think this is a very, very nice way of rounding out that corner, which is always something I've quite struggled with as a builder, is getting round corners, literally. And I think that looks really, really cool. So I'm really, really happy with how that looks. And that's a good start to a rockwork section that's going to expand as we go through. But then I wanted to start experimenting with plants and plant areas in this build. So I've first did this, as I've seen this technique a lot and just wanted to see if it looked any good. That one is much more of a jumble than the one over here. This one over here is much more strategic in how it's all built, and is much better done compared to what's over here. But oh well. This, as I have said that I'm going for detail in this build, but this build is not, or this section of the build is not the main focus of the mock as a whole. So I am not enormously concerned if that looks a bit messy, and if anything, plants look a bit messy anyway. So I don't really mind. But I'm going to have three main, I'll just remove this tree. But I'm going to have three main, like, part types in this build. I just need to find a good spot to put this tree down. I'll just lie it down. But I'm going to have three main plant types in this build. That will be adjusted later on. When I get more pieces, and they will be changed. But for now, I'm using a combination of these pieces. So these, like, three-pronged grass pieces, I'm using quite a few of them. As seen by these three main sections there. And then also these tan plates, or these tan grass pieces, and also the leaf technique. Throughout that, I'm going to order a load of different plant pieces as well, so that there's a bit more variety in there. But I want to put them in, like, blocks and stuff. But I will also be blending in things like this grass and this grass. I will blend in at points, especially in areas like over here, where there is much more space away from the away from the path, and back there when there is enormous space away from the grass, or away from the path that is going through this mock, which will allow me to trial different techniques. I tried some of my light dependency idea over here, because I've laid out a rough design. I will almost definitely change these, but these are very similar to how they looked in the show. So I've kept this as the simple, very simple design for how to light up this mock. Now, with all these plants about, it does give me a very easy way to hide wires. Which is not something I've had to do before, but is obviously a very easy way of doing it, especially with something like that. So once I start looking into lighting and doing that, do not be surprised if I come in and adjust these, so maybe they sit a bit further back and they sit inside little bodies of plants, so that the wire can be hidden. I wanted to put this in as well, so that if I needed a spot for this base plate to have a battery box, I have one. And also, if it needed a wireless connection, then there's a spot to go into the other base plates. So that's why I put that there, as well as it looking cool. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for the first episode of building Mount Tantiss. we've got a surprising amount done for a first episode, completing or nearly completing the baseline for one of the many plates in this build. Which I'm really happy I've been able to get done and get complete, because, or get relatively complete to a point where I can start looking on to maybe next episode starting in the actual base over there. Or mainly what I want to do is start planning how I'm going to do the mountain, as the mountain actual face is what has got to look cool. So that is what I really need to focus on. I'd also quickly like to draw attention to a tree design, which I will go over more next episode. But this is going to be like the base tree design for a lot of the trees I use in this build. And I'm thinking about putting these taller than this, probably doubling the height, but then leaving them like that. Or maybe capping them off, depending on how many pieces I have. Because I know I will, with building this path and also doing these brown trees, I will need to order a bunch of parts for them. But yeah, that is going to do it for this video. I do hope that you've enjoyed the first episode of this new series, and I will catch you guys in the next one. See ya!